Welcome to Power in Words, a sanctuary where we explore the deepest reservoirs of human potential, a place where language becomes the key to unlocking the shackles of the mind, and where we remind you, day after day, of the strength that lies dormant within your own spirit. We gather here not merely to consume information, but to undergo a transformation, to shift the very lens through which we view our existence. Today, we stand at the precipice of a profound realization, guided by the ancient wisdom of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, whose voice echoes across centuries to tell us a singular, liberating truth. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Life, in its unpredictable chaos, often feels like a storm that breaks without warning. You may be standing under a clear blue sky one moment, and in the next, the clouds have turned the color of a bruise, the winds are tearing at the foundations of your home, and the rain is blinding you. It is natural, in these moments of sudden upheaval, to feel small. It is human to feel victimized by the randomness of the universe. When we lose a job we worked decades to secure, when a relationship we thought would last forever dissolves into silence, when illness strikes, or when the world simply does not give us what we believe we are owed, the immediate instinct is to look outward. We point fingers at fate, at God, at the economy, at the people who betrayed us. We scream into the void asking, why is this happening to me? But here, within the safe harbor of power in words, we ask you to pause. We ask you to breathe. We ask you to consider that the storm is not the source of your suffering. The storm is simply weather. The suffering comes from your resistance to the rain. Epictetus, a man who knew suffering intimately, having been born into slavery and living with a permanent physical disability, did not speak of resilience from an ivory tower. He spoke from the mud and the grime of a difficult reality. When he tells us that men are not disturbed by things, but by the views which they take of them, he is handing us the ultimate psychological tool. He is distinguishing between the external event, which is objective, neutral, and often unchangeable, and the internal narrative, which is subjective, malleable, and entirely within your command. Think of the last time something truly upset you. Was it the event itself that caused the pain, or was it what you told yourself about the event? If someone insults you, the words are merely sound waves vibrating in the air. They have no physical mass. They cannot cut your skin. The pain comes only when you agree with the insult, when you internalize it, when you tell yourself, I am disrespected, or I am unworthy. The moment you change that narrative to, this person is acting out of their own pain and ignorance, and their opinion does not define my reality, the suffering evaporates. This is the great secret of the human experience. Reality is not a fixed construct that is imposed upon you. Reality is a painting that you are constantly creating with the brush of your perception. Two people can undergo the exact same trauma. One emerges bitter, broken, and defeated, convinced that the world is a hostile place. The other emerges stronger, wiser, and more compassionate, convinced that the challenge was a necessary crucible for their growth. The event was identical. The reaction was the variable. As the great psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl once wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." Frankl found meaning in the midst of the greatest horror in human history, not because the horror wasn't real, but because he refused to let the horror dictate the sanctity of his inner mind. He realized that while his captors could control his body, they could not touch his soul unless he gave them permission. You must understand that your emotions are not wild horses that you are strapped to. You are the rider. You hold the reins. When tragedy strikes, there is an initial shock, a biological wave of adrenaline and grief. This is unavoidable. We are biological creatures, not robots. But what follows that first wave is a choice. It is a decision that you make, often unconsciously, about who you are going to be in the face of this adversity. Do you collapse? Do you construct a monument to your misery and visit it every day, lighting candles to your bad luck? Or do you look at the wreckage, pick up a brick, and say, I will build something new? Consider the metaphor of the alchemist. The ancient alchemists sought to turn base metals like lead into gold. In the laboratory of your life, you are the alchemist. The lead is the heavy, dull, toxic weight of misfortune, the rejection letter, the failure, the accident. Most people carry this lead around in their pockets until it drags them into the ocean. But you, armed with the wisdom we share here at Power in Words, have the capacity to transmute that lead. You can turn the lead of failure into the gold of experience. You can turn the lead of heartbreak into the gold of self-discovery. You can turn the lead of grief into the gold of empathy. This is not just poetic language. This is neuroplasticity. This is how the brain rewires itself. When you refuse to be a victim of your circumstances, you force your brain to forge new pathways of resilience. You stop asking, why me? And you start asking, what is this teaching me? The shift from why me to what does this mean for me is the shift from powerlessness to power. It is the difference between a character in a tragedy and the hero of an epic. When you react to negativity with despair, you are essentially agreeing with the chaos. You are saying, yes, chaos, you are stronger than I am. But when you react to negativity with calm, with strategy, with a stoic resolve to find the advantage, you are declaring your sovereignty. You are saying, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. This does not mean you suppress your emotions or pretend that everything is fine when it is not. Toxic positivity is a lie. True resilience is looking at the fire, acknowledging that it burns, and then deciding how you will walk through it. Let us look closely at the concept of control. So much of our anxiety, so much of our sleepless nights comes from trying to control things that are utterly beyond our grasp. We want to control what others think of us. We want to control the weather, the traffic, the stock market, the aging process. Epictetus reminds us that this is the path to madness. You cannot control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. If you spend your life screaming at the wind, you will die exhausted and miles off course. If you accept the wind, if you respect its power but focus your energy on the ropes and the rudder, you can use even a headwind to move forward. This is the art of reaction. It is the martial art of the mind, where you do not meet force with force, but rather you redirect the end of the attack to serve your own balance. Imagine for a moment that your life is a movie. In every great movie, the protagonist faces overwhelming odds. If the hero had an easy life, if nothing bad ever happened, if they got everything they wanted immediately, there would be no story. There would be no glory. The audience cheers for the hero not because they avoided the dragon, but because they faced the dragon. The dragon is necessary. The obstacle is necessary. As Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, famously wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your current struggle, the very thing that is keeping you up at night, is not a wall. It is a door. It is a test of your character. It is the universe asking you, how badly do you want this? Who are you, really, when the lights go out? Your reaction is your signature. It is what you leave behind. When people remember you, they will not remember the specific details of the problems you faced. Everyone faces problems. They will remember the grace with which you carried them. They will remember that when the world went dark, you became a source of light. They will remember that when everyone else was losing their heads, you kept yours. This kind of strength is magnetic. It draws others to you. It creates opportunities. It is the foundation of true leadership and true love. When you master your reactions, you become a rock in the surf, a stable point in a spinning world. But how do we cultivate this? How do we move from understanding this intellectually to living it viscerally? It begins with the pause, the space between the stimulus and the response. In that pause lies your freedom. When the anger rises, pause. When the fear grips your throat, pause. In that silence, ask yourself, is this helpful? Does this reaction serve the person I'm trying to become? You have the power of veto over your own impulses. You are not a leaf blowing in the wind. You are the tree. Roots deep, branches flexible. Think of the great figures of history. Think of Nelson Mandela, spending 27 years in a prison cell. He could have reacted with a consuming hatred that would have burned him alive and turned his country into ashes. Instead, he reacted with a profound, strategic patience. He used that time to learn the language of his oppressors, to sharpen his mind, to expand his heart until it was large enough to hold the pain of a nation. His reaction to imprisonment was not to become a prisoner, but to become a president in waiting. His reaction changed the course of history. You may not be leading a nation, but you are leading your life. You are leading your family. Your reactions set the temperature of your home. Your reactions determine the culture of your workplace. Your reactions dictate the health of your body. Science tells us that chronic stress, which is essentially a maladaptive reaction to environmental pressures, kills. It destroys our immune system, stops our digestion, and clouds our thinking. When you learn to react with equanimity, you are literally saving your own life. You are lowering your cortisol, you are protecting your heart, you are choosing health over illness. This is not just philosophy, this is survival. The calm mind is the most powerful weapon you possess. We must also talk about the reaction to failure. In our modern world, we are terrified of failing. We hide our scars. But failure is only a judgment we place on a result. If you try and do not succeed, the event is simply a result. It is data. If you react to that data with shame, you stop trying. If you react to that data with curiosity, you grow. Thomas Edison did not fail thousands of times. He successfully identified thousands of ways that did not work. His reaction was curiosity, not despair. You must become a scientist of your own life. Observe the results without judgment. Adjust the variables. Try again. The only true failure is the failure to react with courage. There is a profound peace that comes when you stop fighting reality. This does not mean resignation. It means alignment. It means saying yes to what is, so that you can move toward what can be. There is a concept called amor fati, a love of fate. Not just bearing what happens to you, but actually loving it, because it is your life. It is the material you have been given to work with. Do not wish for a lighter load. Wish for broader shoulders. Do not wish for an easier life. Wish for the strength to endure a difficult one. The diamonds are formed under pressure. The steel is forged in the fire. You are being forged. Every morning, you wake up with a renewed capacity to choose. The mistakes of yesterday are gone. They are ghosts. The anxieties of tomorrow are illusions. They have not happened yet. All you have is this moment and your ability to choose your attitude within it. You can choose to be kind when others are cruel. You can choose to be generous when the world is greedy. You can choose to be hopeful when the headlines are terrifying. This is the ultimate rebellion. To be happy, to be at peace, to be strong in a world that profits from your weakness and your fear, that is the most radical act you can perform. As we journey together here at Power in Words, we want you to visualize your mind as a fortress. The walls are high and thick. Inside there is a garden. The outside world can throw rocks, it can shoot arrows, it can scream and shout, but nothing can enter the garden unless you open the gate. You are the gatekeeper. Do not let the bitterness of others trample your flowers. Do not let the fear of the news cycle poison your water. Guard your inner peace with the ferocity of a lioness guarding her cubs. It is the most precious thing you own. And remember, this is a practice. You will fail. You will lose your temper. You will fall into despair. That is okay. That is part of the process. The reaction to the failure is what counts. Do not beat yourself up. Do not spiral into guilt. Simply notice it, forgive yourself, and reset. The moment you notice you have drifted, you are already back on the path. The path is not a straight line. It is a spiral, moving ever upward. You possess a strength that you have not yet fully tapped. It is buried under layers of conditioning, under years of reacting out of habit rather than intent. But it is there. It is the spark of the divine within you. Epictetus called it the rational soul. It is the part of you that can look at a disaster and see a lesson. It is the part of you that can look at death and see the preciousness of life. It is the part of you that is unbreakable. As you move through the rest of your day, become an observer. Watch your reactions as if they belong to someone else. When the traffic stops and you are late, feel the heat rising in your chest, and then consciously let it cool. When the coffee spills, feel the sharp spike of frustration, and then choose to laugh. Do not underestimate these small moments. They are your training ground. If you can keep your peace when the coffee spills, you are building the muscle to stand tall when you lose a job. If you can breathe through the traffic, you are learning how to breathe through a heartbreak. It is the exact same strength, only the weight differs. You are the author of your own story. The pen has never left your hand. The events of the plot may be twisted and turn in ways you did not foresee, but the character development is entirely up to you. Will you be the victim who was crushed by circumstance? Or will you be the hero who transcended it? The choice is yours, and it is made in every single second of every single day. The power is not out there in the world of things and events. The power is in here, in the silence of your own heart, in the fortress of your own mind. You are the author. The pen is in your hand. The next chapter is blank, waiting for your response. Own your reactions, and you will own your life. If you are ready to walk this path of mastery, if you seek to build that inner fortress and no longer wish to walk alone, then welcome home. Join our community at Power in Words. Let this be the moment you stop consuming and start transforming. Let us continue this journey together.